Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Q&A with Dr. J and GC. We got a great lineup for the next month or so. Today we're going to start with mitochondria, those little energy factories that power us and unfortunately start to slow down quite a bit as we age, like so many other things. But that doesn't mean that we have to slow down. And Dr. J is going to tell us all about what they are, how they work, and how your genes influence them. Dr. J, what do you say?
Yeah, I say that this is a very big topic. And it's one of the most, really, the most important thing to address when we're looking at health concerns because the mitochondria, I'm going to show you a picture of what a mitochondria is and what it does in a minute, but they are the way that our body makes energy out of our food. And our basic unit of energy is the molecule ATP, adenosine triphosphate. So it has three phosphate molecules and an adenosine molecule. And that fuels everything that happens in the body. So without ATP, everything really starts to slow down. And as we age, as we all know, we do, as you mentioned, start to slow down and things start to creep up on us. So when we look at genetics, you're born with the genes. They're the same throughout your life, but why does one start to express later on in life? And it's often because your mitochondria has slowed down in its production of ATP. So each of the enzymes that, your body codes for, if you've already got a genetic sluggishness there, you add low ATP to it, and then things start to express. And so this is a key component in that concept of the genes load the gun and the environment pulls the trigger. And it turns out that mitochondria is highly susceptible to damage by the environment. And so that's not only just genetics, but it's also environmental slowdown. And so I'm going to show you what mitochondria is and how what you do, what you eat, what you're exposed to can affect the mitochondria and therefore affect gene expression throughout the body. So let me just share my screen for a minute and I'm going to show you what mitochondria looks like here. So this is,
Wow.
yeah, it's very bright and shiny. So this is every cell has a nucleus except for red blood cells. But they all have mitochondria, and these are the little mitochondria here. And some cells have hundreds of mitochondria, and other cells have few, depending on how much activity that cell is responsible for. But basically, they're a little organelle inside the body. And so all of these little organelles have functions. These guys are involved in production of energy, as I mentioned. And some of these other guys we'll discuss on other of our Q&As because they're all really important. But mitochondria, I think, is the king of all, the mighty mitochondria, super important. And one thing I want you to notice is that there's what's called an outer membrane and an inner membrane. So that space between those two membranes is something that is critically important. So let me take you to our.
While you're looking at that, how is it that a red blood cell doesn't have a nucleus?
I'm not sure why. I guess they don't reproduce that way. I don't know. It's a good question. I
I'll have
don't.
to look it up.
Yeah. They used to think that sperm cell didn't, but they actually do. And they have mitochondria, something in it. When we look at mitochondria and energy production in the body, it all starts with our body bringing in glucose, going through a process called gluconeogenesis. And we go down through this pathway down through the citric acid cycle, and then down, the roundabout, I call it, and then down in through something called the electron transport chain. And this all happens at the mitochondrial level. And so I'm going to take you down into the electron transport chain because guess what it does?
I don't know.
It transports electrons down a chain.
I should have known that.
Ow,
I thought it was a trick question.
it was. And so it's got these five complexes. So there's complex one, two, three, four, and five. Not to make it too complex, these complexes basically what they're doing is building up electrical potential in that intermembrane space. So it builds up electrons as it goes through these complexes. The energy is coming from nutrients. So in the case of the complex one, that's nicotinic acid. dehydrogenase right there, the NADH. You can have a genetic variant there, the NDUFS. You've probably heard me talk about the NDUFS gene. If you have a genetic variant there, it can be involved in neurological problems, energy production issues, low metabolism. It can create quite a lot of problems. Low muscle tone, heart issues. So fatigue, exercise intolerance, weight gain is here, and neurological imbalances can be an issue here. This one is also involved in optic neuropathy and potentially Parkinson's disease. So something to look at on your report from My Happy Gene is take a look at those NDUFS genes, because if you have quite a few of them, it's something that you can address nutritionally. And we'll talk to you about, okay, there are ways to fire up this enzyme, because these are enzymes, right? Our genes code for these enzymes. If you've got the wrong code for it, it's going to be slower than usual. But the other thing that can happen here is there are a lot of medications that can actually slow down and impair the function of this complex 1, metformin being one of them. And I think you and I talked about
Yeah.
that briefly, how a lot of people are taking metformin. Insecticides, antibiotics can damage it because mitochondria is essentially from bacterial origin. Many eons ago, bacteria inserted itself into a eukaryotic cell or a body cell and set up shop and said, hey, I'll make energy out of your food if you feed me. So it's a symbiotic thing there. Mercury can damage this complex 1, but take a look at the medications that can actually damage complex 1, and cholesterol medications are in there. All kinds of things. Analgesics, the aspirin, there's a Tylenol can damage complex 1. I know that's a hot topic, and we're going to talk about that in another one of our sessions. But so we look at not just genetic variants, but what have you been exposed to in your life? Any of you exposed to insecticides? Everybody, right? You can't get away from them.
Do you remember? I don't know whether you went to camp, but we used to slather ourselves in bug spray
Oh,
till we were shiny with it because we hated all the mosquitoes and things. So,
yeah.
yeah, I think anybody who had that experience, or even just playing in your backyard, a lot of people just sprayed the off on.
Right. Or ran behind the trucks that were spraying poison herbicides, and all of that can damage complex 1. And then we wonder why we're tired and gaining weight. So complex 1, and that you can see this arrow coming down here, and it donates an electron to the ubiquinol pool, and that's CoQ10. So if you're on a statin, you actually are depleting CoQ10 because cholesterol is made into CoQ10. So if you shut down cholesterol production, you actually shut down CoQ10 production. So you've damaged your mitochondria there. And so definitely if you're on a statin, you should absolutely be taking CoQ10. There's very good information in the literature on that. Complex 2 down here, the succinate dehydrogenase. You could have a genetic variant there that can impair complex 2, and this is riboflavin. One of the B vitamins actually contributes the nutrients to make this guy work, but it can be impaired by fluoride and chlorine. If you're drinking fluorinated water or chlorinated water, you might want to think about that. If you're using fluoride toothpaste, I know there's a lot of information that says fluoride is safe, but it does bioaccumulate. So it can impair complex 2. So I would just, me personally, I would never do a fluoride toothpaste. And I do drink filtered water so I can avoid, because you can't get away from the fluoride really and the chlorine, it's there, but it can over time damage that complex 2. Complex 3 is damaged by antibiotics, again, heavy metals, radiation, and electromagnetic fields. And who among us is not exposed to electromagnetic fields and radiation? Everybody, right? We're sitting in front of a computer, we have our cell phone, we have the 5G hitting us at all times. So that slows down complex 3, and then complex 4 can be also damaged by all of the above. So you can see anywhere you see a purple balloon, those are areas where you could have inherited genetic variants along the way that can slow it down, but there's also the environmental damage. And so that's why we as natural healthcare practitioners, we talk to people about watch your electromagnetic field exposure, watch the medications can damage your mitochondria. Don't take antibiotics unless you absolutely have to. Avoid insecticides and pesticides because they do accumulate in your body, and fluoride and chlorine. So all of those things that you do can prevent some of the damage that's done to the mitochondria over time that can lead to fatigue and low energy and weight gain. So the fifth complex over here is pretty cool. So this potential has built up, this electromagnetic potential, and then boom, what it does is smack together an adenosine diphosphate. That's two phosphate molecules, puts another phosphate on there and makes adenosine triphosphate. So it's that buildup of electrical potential that makes it happen. It's really cool. It's a really cool machine, essentially. But if that doesn't happen, if you can't go through these 5 steps and make ATP, you're going to build up something called reactive oxygen species, ROS. And you'll see superoxide and peroxynitrites build up in the system, and that can be inflammation. That is massively inflammatory and cancer promoting. So mitochondria is definitely 100% associated with cancer risks because of this, because of the potential for building up reactive oxygen species in the body. So it's a very big concept. And again, when we look at these pathways, when we're working on somebody and we're trying to get them balanced, we're going to look at number one first. This is mitochondrial function down here. So you could have genetic variants here in the AB gene, and you might need adenosine B12, or in the SLC22A4 gene, which is a transporter. It transports carnitine into the cell, so we burn fat as a fuel. If you have a genetic variant there, then you don't burn fat easily. You're going to accumulate it and create issues there. It runs on ergothioneine. We get that from mushrooms and crab meat. King
Yum.
crab legs, here we go. And it opens up the cell so carnitine can get in there and burn fat. Carnitine is an amino acid that turns on fat burning. So when we look at this, it's like a combination of things. Do you need CoQ10? Do you need riboflavin? Do you need molybdenum? Do you need ergothioneine, carnitine? What exactly do you need for you to get your mitochondria back up to speed and get you having better energy, better metabolism, and all the wonderful things that happen when you turn mitochondria on. So it's number one whenever I work on anybody. That's where we're going first.
That's fascinating. If anybody wants to know more about the reactive oxygen species, the peroxynitrate and the other one, we have a video from either this past week or the week before. This is October 9th, so it was either the first week of October or the one before that. You can learn more about that specific area of this energy production cycle.
Yeah,
And they're just so cute, the little organelles.
they are cute.
And it reminds me of a hot dog that somebody went like this with mustard on the top.
It does. Mighty
I
mitochondria.
like that. I'm going to remember that, the mighty
Yeah,
mitochondria.
but they're so important. And the malfunctioning of mitochondria really is at the root of just the majority of chronic diseases that we're suffering from. It's a huge concept, but there's a lot you can do. There's a lot you can do to get it back going again and get your metabolism back going and repair the damage over time.
Yeah, and I was thinking for anybody who isn't aware of this, may not have been to our website, myhappygenes.com, you actually offer one-on-one consults for people once they've had their tests done, or they can go through you, set up a time to work with you, and then you can order all the tests and things. I know sometimes we don't want to talk to somebody, we just want to read the information, but when it comes to your health and making a decision on what to take, I don't think it's most people's expertise, this biochemistry related to genetics as it is with you. So I just want to mention to people, if you go to myhappygenes.com and you look at the top in the nav bar and say work with Jay, you can learn all about that opportunity there.
Yeah, we go over the entire report and I show you how to really read it correctly so that you're not going down a rabbit hole with a gene that isn't really that important to you. We go at least an hour, we'll go over your entire report and tell you what your best diet is and get you started with a practitioner because I can't take people on as a practitioner, but I can consult with you and show you where to go from here. So it's fun. I've been enjoying getting to know people and showing them what it all means.
Yeah, I'll bet. That's mitochondria in a nutshell. If you have questions about mitochondria, you can just pop them in here on the YouTube channel and we will get back to you or about anything. And while you're on this page, why not hit subscribe so you don't miss any of these? And like I said, if you haven't been to the website, head over to myhappygenes.com. We've got lots of good information that will help you understand the test reports, why we do what we do, who Dr. J is more in detail. And I think that leads us to the end of this one today.
Thanks, GC.
Thank you.